I think about the courage it must have taken for John. Here he was, a man who was used to being outside and around in the desert, by the Jordan, baptizing, just being outside in the sun, eating locusts and wild honey, and the freedom that he had experienced in that. And he sees what Herod is doing, and he knows if nobody confronts the leader when the leader is doing wrong, that means the people will look and say, oh, well, that's something that's normal, every day, something we can do. It's not as bad as we think. So he knows it has to be done. And he goes and he confronts Herod. And he knows it's going to cost him his life. And he's put in prison and he's bound. And prisons back then and in that culture were a little bit different than we have prisons today. Not that today's prisons are anything great, but dark, dank, small, enclosed. They didn't care about your health at all. And here he gets put in prison, and then ultimately he loses his head. We look and we see the courage that takes to be able to do what he knows is right in the face of great opposition, in the face of torment, in the face of losing his life. Of course, we know the end of the story. He goes to heaven, and we don't know how long he was in prison, and we're like, maybe it couldn't be that bad. But when we're looking at it from our side of history, we have no idea what's going to be coming. And the unknown can become this fearful thing. I think about last year when we first started hearing about COVID, and then it was going across, and they stopped masses in Massachusetts, and then they stopped masses here in New Hampshire, and at least the public masses, and everything going on, and we're saying, well, how long is this going to go on? If we had known that we'd still be wearing masks and social distancing a year later, we would have probably, and we still don't know how long it's going to go on. And the unknown can bring great fear into our lives. And it can bring discouragement, can lower our hearts, our minds, and we can just throw the towel in. But Jesus says, do you trust me? We come together on First Friday, and First Friday is a day of, we celebrate the Sacred Heart of Jesus. We're to console the Sacred Heart of Jesus. And the beautiful thing about this, and I can say this, I experienced this morning, is by consoling the Sacred Heart of Jesus, it means we have to get out of ourselves. What do I mean by this? Well, specifically, I'm talking about how you get tired throughout the week. This is supposed to be my day off. It didn't happen. I had a funeral yesterday, a funeral today, all these other things going on that are just overwhelming. And, it can become one of these, what more do you want? Oh, now, what more do you want, Lord? Now I have to do all these extra devotions to the Sacred Heart. Oh, great. That's the natural reaction. The resentment that can start to build up. Maybe none of you have experienced this before, and I'm just telling you my confession that I really need to go to confession for. But all this came up this morning, and as I'm praying through the prayers for First Friday, I'm saying, I'm supposed to be consoling the heart of Jesus, and I'm complaining internally the whole time. I says, that's not good. In case you didn't know, that's not good. And so with that, I had to then say, okay, take my eyes off of me and put my eyes on Jesus. Because I'm supposed to be consoling him, not wounding his heart by my complaining and griping and and all that's going on inside of me. And so I had to make that choice to turn away from myself and onto Jesus. Now, I'm not going to say that I did that perfectly. I'm still working on it this morning. But with all this, it takes that courage in the darkness, in those moments of desolation, in the struggles that we have. It takes the courage to say, I'm going to stop looking at myself. I'm going to look at Jesus. We look at St. John the Baptist today. I can only imagine what is going through his heart. There's a point where John sends messengers to Jesus and says, are you the one? And a lot of commentators say, well, no, we don't. He didn't really get discouraged. He was just doing this for his disciples. And some of that may be true. But why would it go against the movement of a saint to have moments of desolation in the darkness, in the loneliness, in the confinement of a prison, not knowing what's going on? That's the natural cycle that we all go through. Ups and downs, desolation and consolation. Even the saints experience desolation. And in those bottom moments, though, we have to make sure we choose to turn our eyes off of ourselves and onto Jesus. And St. John the Baptist, we know he gave himself fully for what was right, for the truth, and Jesus is the truth. Through his intercession, through the intercession of St. Agatha, may we have the courage, especially in those dark moments, especially in those moments of fear, and especially in those moments where we don't know what's coming down the pike, that we turn our eyes off of ourselves and on to the God who loves us so tenderly, so intimately, so passionately. And in those moments say, Jesus, I trust in you. And by doing that, then console the Sacred Heart of Jesus.